Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm just starting straight in with this video because this is going to be a continuation of what I was working on in the last video. The reason for that is because I'm still getting ready for this artisan market that I'm participating in, and everything has to be excuse me, turned in a few days. So I thought I would just go in and continue with some more of these mixed media bird collages. They're not going to be exactly the same because that would make for a really boring video. So I tried to change it up and do some different things with this one. The first thing that you'll probably notice is that instead of using the cut book pages and music pages first, I went in straight away with some acrylic paint this time to put a colored background down. Then I'm going to go in and collage on top of it. I'm keeping the palette fairly limited on these pieces because I kind of want there to be a nice continuity between all of the pieces. They're most likely going to be displayed together on the same wall, and I think it's going to really be visually appealing if they all have some colors in common. You can see here on the panel on the left, I am actually incorporating a little bit of rubbing alcohol in with the acrylic paint. Watch what happens. When you see the alcohol hit the paint, you'll notice a really cool effect. It makes all these little bursts, and what that's doing is the alcohol is actually hitting the surface of the paint and pushing it to the side. I end up largely painting over it in these pieces, but it's a really neat effect, and I might try to do it again in something else, but I just wanted to give it a try to add a little bit more texture and variety. So as far as the paint palette that I am using today in these pieces, I've got some Artist Loft colors and a few other things. I've got a titanium white, a teal, a green gold, and a yellow ochre. I also have a Payne's gray and a fluorescent pink, as well as a just like a pale pink craft paint that I'm using in some of these too. Like I said, I'm keeping it simple just so everything kind of goes together. So now that I've got all the paint down for my base layer, I'm going to go in and use some of the book pages and some of the music sheets and do much like I did the last time, just kind of tearing and placing and seeing where I want things to go. I am this time using the Liquitex gloss gel medium instead of the matte medium. The only real reason why I did that is because I have a lot of it and I wanted to see what the difference was. I don't typically like things super glossy, but one cool thing about this that I learned during the process of doing this particular video is that if you do use the gloss gel and don't like the gloss that it gives you, you can go over it with a layer of the matte and it will just knock that gloss down and it'll be like you never used it to begin with. And that's actually what I ended up doing in one of the pieces, just in one place because I wanted to test that out. But here I have a lot of pieces of my gel prints that we made before, and I'm putting those over top of some of the book pages. One thing I really love about the gel prints that I've done on the tissue paper is that that tissue paper just basically melts right into the background, so you can still see the print underneath it or pattern or whatever you have going on the base layer. It comes through and just gives a little bit of like a tint of color to it, so it almost works as a glaze. The next few minutes are just finishing up the gluing down of the collage pieces, so I'm going to let you watch that, and I will be back with you when I do the next paint layer. So now I've gotten all of the collage work done, at least for that layer, and I'm going back in with some more acrylic paint. One thing that typically seems to happen, especially with intuitive painting, you kind of have to work with I'll call them accidents that happen. And all that means is you're working so quickly that you're going to inevitably have things that you do that you don't like, and you end up painting over or gluing over. So you will see some of that in my videos, because that is just definitely part of my process. It almost has to be, because nobody is going to get it perfect. Even though you're doing it intuitively, it doesn't always mean it's going to work out in a way that's visually appealing for you. So in this next clip coming up here with this piece, you'll see I have that gel print down at the bottom that has the black squares. That is one of my favorite gel prints. And what I want to do here is carry that pattern over a little bit more into the rest of the piece. So I'm using the same color that I printed that onto the tissue paper with to stencil on some more of that pattern throughout the piece so that it makes a little bit more visual sense. You will see I keep going in with that fluorescent pink color because it really pops and I love it so much. And some of the pieces tended to get a little bit dark, which is fine for some things. But you might remember I wanted these to be a little bit more whimsical, so I kind of feel like they need to be brightened up here and there. So you will see me go in with, in some cases, the fluorescent pink, and in some cases the teal, just to get a little more life into the piece. And that's another difference between these pieces that I'm doing today and the last ones that you saw in my previous video. I wanted to incorporate a little bit more stencil work into them just to give a little bit more visual interest, and I want them to be kind of poppy, kind of have a lot going on, and it's easy to do that with the stencils to add a little more color and a little more movement in the piece. Now that the stencil work and most of the paint work is done, at least at this point, I'm ready to go in and start doing some mark making with some different tools that I have set up here. What I'm using here is a China marker. I just ordered it off of Amazon, and it's basically like a black wax butcher's pencil. I just like the crayon-like quality that it gives. It's nice and dark though. You wouldn't really get that with a crayon because the pigment is not as concentrated. So I go in there with a little bit of the China marker, and then I have some gel pens that I'm going in, and I'm using colors that are similar to the colors that I already have in the paintings so that they make some sense. I'm also using my black and white Posca pens again because they have that really intense acrylic look that's going to complement the paint very well, and you're going to be able to see it stand out against the background. Now it's time for my favorite part, adding on the birds. So I went ahead and had pre-cut some different bird shapes out of some of the prints that I had. Some of them I ended up using, but you can see here some of them I didn't, which isn't surprising because, like I said, I didn't really go into this with a whole lot of a plan, so I didn't exactly know what colors were going to end up on top and what was going to look best. So I did end up in the moment cutting some new bird pieces on there, and I'm changing it up a little bit. I'm changing some of the orientation of the birds. Some of them are sitting higher and some lower. I have some of them actually going off of the page, or in this case the board, just because I thought it would be a little more visually interesting than just having everything smack dab right in the middle of the panel. So here I am just going in and trying to find colors that are going to work, or something that I think is really going to be a little more interesting to look at. And it looks here like I didn't do a very good job of getting those top two panels in the frame for you, but you'll be able to see them when I pull them down to do some more of the fine detail work on them. this point, I'm pretty happy with the placement of everything, so I'm going to go ahead and start gluing everything down here using some of the gloss gel medium. And it's kind of funny because when I first started these, I had my favorite color combinations on that first layer, and the ones that I really didn't like as much ended up being some of the ones that I actually liked best in the end. And that's a thing that can definitely happen when you're going into a piece without planning. So I'll let you watch this part and I'll be back with you in just a moment. Now that everything's glued down, it's time to finally make the birds come to life a little bit more by using some of the mark making tools to add the detail pieces such as the eyes and the beaks and the funny bird legs. I went in and did a little bit of design work on each of them that was a little bit different than the last time, just to make them a little bit more interesting, a little different, so that they're not looking at the same piece over and over again. Pieces like this are so much fun to make. It kind of reminds you of being a kid again, when there were no real rules and you're just really having fun and living in the moment and making art the way that you really feel like you should be. Most of my other work is a little more serious and often done with the intention of showing in a gallery or selling, but I think it's really important to, even if it's just for yourself, and I know a lot of artists do art journals. I've never been much of an art journal kind of person. If I sit down to make something, I want to have a finished product at the end that I might be able to do something with. But if art journaling is your thing, this is kind of like the perfect thing to do in an art journal. Just have fun. No one has to see it. But I kind of look at these types of pieces this way too. Even though my intention was to take them to an artisan's market, it's so different from the rest of my work that I kind of felt like I had a little more freedom to just really let go and explore and just have a lot more playful fun with it. So I'm just finishing up here with a little bit of the details, and this seems like a good place to mention how I'm going to treat the surface when the piece is completed. I actually have a can of a UV resistant spray, and it has a nice gloss finish. That's what I sprayed these with. You're going to definitely want to do that outside. It's flammable and pretty toxic to breathe this stuff in, but it's a Krylon product. It's just called UV resistant clear acrylic coating. I took them outside, sprayed them. It only took a few minutes to dry, although when I brought them back in, you could definitely smell it for the rest of the night. But this protects everything on the surface, and also it gives it a nice glossy finish. And the next step from there was to put the hanging devices on the back. I just used some screw eyes and wire. I never use the sawtooth hangers because most galleries won't accept them, so I just typically use either screw eyes or D-rings, and just make sure you are using the correct weight rating on those. If you have a really big canvas, you want to make sure you're not using one that's rated for a 1 to 2 pound weight, or you're going to have a disaster on your hands. It hasn't happened to me yet, knock on wood, but you never know, so just make sure you're reading the label before you pick one out. So while I'm finishing these up for you, I wanted to talk about the next couple of videos that I'm planning on doing. I'm not exactly sure which order I'm going to do, but I'm thinking I would like to do another video making some more gel prints, because honestly, these 6 panels, while they didn't wipe me out, they wiped me out of all of the good ones because those are the ones that I wanted to use, and of course my favorite color ones are all gone now. But I also want to focus on doing some in just black and white. So I'm thinking I might do a video of just doing a whole bunch of different black and white prints. And then we're going to go ahead and actually make a collage or a finished piece, a mixed media piece, out of those black and white prints. I've had that idea in my head for a while, and I think it would be really cool and something fun that I could do with you guys on a video. I'm thinking that the week of Thanksgiving, what I would like to do for my video is to show you how I do my hand-painted Christmas ornaments. So that's a lot of fun, and that's something that is super easy, and when I show you how to do it, you're going to think, oh my God, why didn't I think of this? It's the easiest thing in the world. But you end up with some really, really cool results. So that's what's going to be coming up here shortly in the next few weeks. I've always got some ideas rolling around in the back of my head. I just never know exactly what that day I'm going to feel like doing, but I'm thinking it's going to be something like that. I also want to do a video working in small series where we do, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 12 small canvases or small boards all at the same time. And we're going to definitely use the gel prints for that. It'll go really fast. It'll give you a large quantity of finished pieces. They can either be hung together as a single unit the way I'm going to show you, or you can hang them individually, or they can be sold individually. There's a lot of potential for different ways that you can use those. And now that I'm finished up with the bird series, I'm kind of thinking of what other kinds of fun, quirky, whimsical little things I could do just to continue on with this theme, but in a different way. And there's all sorts of things. I don't know. I love different animals. I've got this obsession with octopus right now, so I'm kind of thinking we could do something fun with that, or some kind of fish, something like that. I don't want it to get too crafty and silly, but at the same time, they should be fun, and I've got these ideas in my head, so, you know, why not bring them out and put them on some canvas or board and see what happens. But if I do decide to do that, most likely I'll make a video and you can see what kind of wacky little things that I come up with, and hopefully it inspires you to make some fun little pieces that you can either try to sell or hang in your house or just make for the joy of making it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with any of that. So here I am working on what I believe is the last panel, and this guy turned out to be one of my favorites, although I honestly don't know if I could actually pick a favorite. They're just all so much fun and so cute. I love the colors. Everything is so bright and fun, and it's just the kind of thing that you kind of feel like you would walk into a whimsical little coffee shop and see hanging on the wall, or that you might want to hang in your kitchen because it just makes you happy when you look at it. That's just the kind of art that I wanted to make for these, and I think I really nailed it. But in just another minute or so, I'm going to show you how all of these turned out, all side by side. And I don't have the 2 from the last video included in this bunch because I just wanted to keep it to what we worked on here today. But I'm really pleased with the outcome of these, and I think they're going to look really nice together, grouped on a wall for this artisan's market that I'm participating in the next couple of weeks. Well, here are my 4 little bird pieces that we made together today. I just think that they are so fun. I hope you had as much fun as I did making them. I hope you got inspired to make something fun yourself, maybe get out your gel plate and make some fun prints, and just see what you can come up with. Thank you again so much to everyone who has subscribed. I am just blown away by the amount of you who have taken the time to do that. And if you haven't yet, please take a second and give me a subscribe and a thumbs up. It'll help me out, and I will be back with more videos for you.